Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Tavleen, spokesperson Designaire, and on behalf of the entire Designaire team, I welcome you all to this webinar on how to build your first UX portfolio by Garima Mehta. Today, our speaker will be joining us here in few minutes. And so, before she joins in, I would like to take this moment to introduce you to her. And Ms. Garima Mehta is the design researcher with passion for minimalism and accessibility. She's a senior lead experience at designer at Infosys and Wongdoody. She's also a design mentor and has been mentoring many students and professionals in the same field. She's also a freelance graphic designer for multiple early stage ventures. So, without any further ado, I welcome Ms. Garima Mehta so that she can start and inspire us with her knowledge and experience. So, if you guys have any queries, any questions, feel free to put them in the chat section and we'll make sure that she answers all your queries. Thank you so much. Welcome, ma'am. Over to you now.
Thank you, Tavleen. That was a very sweet introduction. Thanks a lot. And hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I would like to, really thank Designer for building up this community and, having these short sessions for helping out all of these designers. And thanks a lot for everybody, giving your valuable weekend for this session. It really means a lot to all of us. Yeah. So, without taking much time, Tavleen, do you want to, share our deck?
Yes, ma'am. Just a minute.
So I think before Tavleen starts, sharing the deck, I would just want to, make a very quick note here that we're using this deck only to, have some pointers, but feel free to add any of your queries if you have. Keep posting them up on the chat, or you can, keep making notes, whatever you think you want to ask in the end. All right, welcome to building your first UX portfolio. And when it comes to portfolios and first portfolio, I think a lot of people might have a lot of anxiety and questions and confusions around how should we do it, and do we do it? What process should we follow? What should be the format? And all of these questions usually come to our mind. Designers have portfolios, and it's a precondition of our profession. It's expected that apart from our CVs and resumes and all the other stuff, we do have a portfolio that will talk about our work and our notions in general. So moving ahead, agenda for today's discussion would be majorly around these 6 pointers, which is what is a portfolio and the benefit of having a portfolio, as well as under portfolio, what all should you put, what are the important things that you should have in a portfolio, and how to write case studies for UX design portfolios. Then some of the core elements that are required as part of the case studies for UX design, and how does it make your portfolio more beneficial to you, as well as how does it enhance the entire experience for your recruiters. Then we would talk a little about what all platforms and options you have for building your portfolio, and moving on to identifying some work samples and what should you include in your portfolio, as well as some best techniques and tips from my own experience. So let's talk about what is a portfolio in general. So, a portfolio, whether you're a graphic designer or a product designer, maybe a photographer, or, any kind of a creative person, design portfolios are the tools through which designers are constantly evaluated by either new clients or, recruiters or any kind of potential employers. So the word designer, can mean different things to different people, and a designer role comes with many possible skills and responsibilities. So a UX design portfolio will help you to showcase the people, potential employers, or your recruiters, or even clients, the areas in which you specialize, your strength, the process that you follow, and your design styles. So A great design portfolio, can open up many different possibilities for you, and you can get the kind of work that you really want. Given that, that also put us into an anxiety that a portfolio can, change your career. It can ruin your opportunity, or creating your design portfolio in itself becomes the most important exercise of your entire career. So an impressive design portfolio could make a big difference in getting a job, or cracking an interview. And it's not, it's I think it's quite difficult, yet simple, to make something that might impress your recruiters. So let's move ahead. Talking about format. So in the beginning, I started with, what all should you put in your portfolio. So I wouldn't say there is any format, because a portfolio is what you are, what your personality is, what you want to showcase to your clients or your recruiters, and then there is no general format. And so UX design portfolio is just not a virtual gallery of all of your beautiful things, but when it comes to UX design, it is a well crafted story of how you approach your problems, how you give solutions to the clients, and what are the design decisions that you take in any project or any opportunity that you get. So let's put it this way, that design is an industry where education and previous experience is not a strict requirement when it comes to finding jobs or finding opportunities. So UX design portfolio is probably the best way that you can showcase what you really know. It will help you to actually show the people what all skills you have and how you have implemented it. So the users of your portfolio here will be your hiring managers, recruiters, or fellow UX professionals. So your portfolio must appeal to these different kinds of people in your own way. And then, so there is no format, but there are some important tips that will help you in deciding what all what are the requirements these people are looking for. So going forward, let's talk about what all should we put into design portfolios. And these are some key needs that all of these people might be looking for. First of all, I am a very, I would say I really prefer using an online platform. It's a digital world, and people are very quick. Everybody has a great access to internet. So I send people PDFs of 20 MBs, of creating Google Drive links and then sending them PDFs or documents. So I think online platforms are the best ways to showcase your work to anybody. And a portfolio which has an online presence also makes it easy for you to find clients. So apart from job, if you're also looking into going into freelancing work or commission work, so an online platform will definitely help you to build your online presence. Then moving on to the introduction. A portfolio must definitely have an introduction. What are your beliefs? What are your skills? And where have you come from? An interesting story will help you or your recruiters in knowing more about you. Sometimes it's they often say small talks. Maybe you might be interested, or somebody might be interested in knowing a little more about you. How did you start your career? What's your academic background? Or what is the story behind building this entire portfolio? So a small introduction will help the people understand a little more about you. Then, coming to the third point, which is contact details, which of course is a must on your portfolio. Either you can have a PDF document directly on your portfolio, which is in downloadable format, and this can be your resume or your card or something like that. Or otherwise, you can have a form that maybe quick little form that says, hi, how can I help you? What are you looking for? Do you have any opportunities that I might be interested in? Some kind of a quick form that will help recruiters or people visiting your website or your portfolio have a quick access or a touch with you. Otherwise, you can also put your email address or your phone number, LinkedIn ID, or links to your social media links, which will help them reach out to you easily. And the last one, of course, work. There's nothing without work in the portfolio. So work is a very important, part of your portfolio. But now, there are a lot of questions related to what work you should put in your portfolio and how should you put it. So let's get more into details of what work should you put in. Coming to UX case study. So a UX case study is, a tool that a designer may use to explain his involvement in a design project, either as a solo designer or in a team. You might have had some roles, responsibilities to fulfill. So a UX case study will help you in defining the entire project. Now, often, as other creative people, they post a lot of final outputs, but this is not the case for UX design case studies. A UX design case study starts with a problem and solution, and in my opinion, the entire process is what the recruiter might be interested in. You know, now imagine, somebody just gives you a UI or a final screen of mobile application to see. That might more be of the deliverable of a UI designer. But what makes the entire case study is how you approached it from the problem. Did you try to understand what the user required? Did you try to understand what the stakeholders were looking for? And so on. So, a UX design case study includes the entire process and an excellent storytelling with clear, understandable structure. Moving ahead. So, these are some core elements of a case study. So, the first thing, what was the project? Now, the major thing here, you need a good title to explain your project, and then a little brief of the problem statement. If you have a client project, and if there are no, any kind of confidentiality breaches, then you can also involve the details of the client, or otherwise maybe present a generic brief of what was the project about and what is the product about, or include an overview of the problem statement that you were given. Then comes who was it built for. This would include more of the users and not the stakeholders. Now, who was the user? What audiences was it built for? Was it built for young audience? Was it built for readers who are of this particular age group, or was it built for children or kids of certain age groups? Who was it built for? This will help the recruiter understand your design decisions. Now, if it was built for young kids, say age 8 to 14, you will take different design decisions. If it was built for adults of about 25 to 40 years of age, you would take some different design decisions. So this will help you in building your case study further. So what was your role? When you're doing a solo project, I think it becomes easier to explain. But when you're doing a group project, I think, in my opinion, it's very important to keep it upfront that it was a group project, and what were your key responsibilities. Were you involved into taking the interviews? Did you actually go and meet the users, or were you involved, processing all the data? Were you involved only in the UI design process? Were you involved in the wireframes? What was your role in the entire project? Then comes, what was the process? Now, when it comes to UX design, there are different types of design thinking processes that people use. So it could be from empathizing to the entire journey, empathize, then define, design, a lot of different kinds of processes. So what were the steps that you took for your project, and what was the entire journey for your project? Then coming to outcomes and deliverables. Your UX case study should easily be able to tell the recruiter that these were some of the outcomes and deliverables. When we talk about UX design, a lot of people, often ask me that should we include these screens? Are screens a part of the UX design case study? And I would say that, very less companies still have a different or, classification of UX and UI. So as a UX designer, you are, involved into the entire process of user research, but you are also involved into ideating it. So after the entire analysis is done, you also ideate, you create task flows, you do entire information architecture, you do wireframing, and you also do UI design. So the outcome becomes a very important part of your case study. And then other deliverables. What all other UX artifacts you had created. Challenges and learnings. This is also one very important factor that can help you build an effective case study. What were the different things, or what were the new things that you came up with? What were the challenges when you wanted to do a certain design? Did the client tell you no, this is not feasible? Did the client, or or the development team, or somebody else told you that no, we don't want it in this certain way? How did you cope up with this challenge? And lastly, what more could you do? I think this is one of my favorite things to, add to my portfolio. Lot of times, when you're into an interview, a recruiter might ask you that, I think in your case study or in your product, you should have also included this functionality. And then you're lost. It's gone. So then it becomes important that you mention that keeping time and resources in frame, you were able to do these certain functionalities and these certain UI designs or outcomes were expected out of your project. Now, if you see something like, iOS, Android, these are such huge and such amazing products, but they are still evolving, right? The similar way, your project, your case study is also evolving, and you might have not thought, or you might have thought of it, but you did not do it because you did not have enough of time. So it becomes very important to add limitations and future scope to your case study. All right, let's move ahead. Choosing your projects. Now this is one of very critical things to make a decision. Now I have majorly categorized into three important things. The first is competencies and the skills. You need to make a decision. What are you good at? And then, on the basis of your skills and your positives, you will have to run your portfolio and your case study in that direction. Now, the second question that comes is, what is the recruiter or the organization looking for in this position? Now, you really have to, go through the job description, understand the requirements of that particular job, and then accordingly put forward your portfolio or your case study to them. This is called as correct pitching. Now, if the recruiter is looking for UI designer and you start telling them the entire interview process in detail, that will not make much sense to them. So you need to understand what is the organization looking for majorly, and then you need to explain your process or your case study in that way. Then, which samples show the most of that skills? If you have about 5 to 6 projects already in your portfolio and the organization is looking for something that two of your projects have really done well, pick those projects. I would say leave the other three projects in the background. Coming to best of your works. Now, what differentiates me from other designers? I think I'll quickly, I'll share a story of my college days. And I remember one of my classmates, this guy used to, he was so quick and he was so amazing with design and understanding things. We would take, months and, weeks to complete our case studies, and this guy would, upload such quick and amazing case studies every week. And he had a big bunch of case studies in his portfolio. We were still, struggling to create our case studies. But now in this situation, let's prioritize quality over quantity. Any recruiter will not be, interested in going through all the case studies that you have, as well as all the case studies are not important for that recruiter. So you need to decide what is the best work that you have. Don't put everything, all the work that you have in your portfolio. The phrase that I would use for a portfolio is, the portfolio is your best work. Remember that word best. And you have to make sure that you only put your best efforts in that. So, what interesting stories can I tell about the work that I did? Okay. So, you need to make sure, that you have a good story behind it. You have enough of content to talk about that case study. You might have also, worked with a client that has a big name. The client allowed you to put this case study in your portfolio. But is that work or is that case study good enough to talk about? You have to think about it. On which projects did I bring the most value? And from which projects did I learn the most? Two important things. What was the best thing, or where was your best effort in all of these projects? And where did you learn the most? Now, this also helps you show your growth and your progress. The third pointer where I have segregated shows work in progress or growth. So, does this show my thought process? And does this show my improvement over time? So, in my opinion, I think three good case studies will definitely help you build your portfolio. Three very detailed case studies. And then, if you think there is something that you created long time back, but you should have it in your portfolio to show your progress, then I would suggest put a date around it. And then that will also help the recruiter understand that you have been involved or you are a quick learner. All right, Tavleen, let's move ahead. So where do I start? We have been talking about the entire portfolio, but depending on your interest, depending on your time limits, you can decide and you can choose what platform you want to use. Dribble or Behance? Dribble would be less preferred for me because Dribble is more of, it talks a lot about visual design, whereas we are looking more of detailed case studies. Behance is a good medium because Behance has a good reach, as well as in India, a lot of recruiters eventually, they directly ask you for a Behance portfolio link. So you can create a good mix of your visual design skills as well as understanding of your user research skills. Now, when you create a Behance portfolio, it becomes very important that you have a good balance of visual design as well as UX design skills. Coming to Medium or blog, if you have good writing skills and if you think that a blog will more better, in a better way explain your entire project, Medium is a very good way to write case studies. So through Medium, you can actually give a very descriptive and very detailed understanding of your case studies, but make sure your case study doesn't become too long or too lengthy in content for any recruiter to understand. Now imagine I give you a case study to read, which has a long, descriptive text. So in a blog, it becomes important that you have again a balance of writing pointers or highlighting things that you want the recruiter to see. For a Medium blog, you can choose to create pointers, titles, headers, subheaders, and so on. Then coming to personal website, I think a personal website is also a very good way to showcase your work, not just in UX design, but also in multiple domains. If you're someone who has moved into multiple domains, or if you're somebody who is interested in different things, a a personal website is definitely a go. Just make sure that you have enough content to put in, and just make sure that your website doesn't look like it's not a salad. Just make sure that it has enough of focus that what you're trying to showcase your recruiter. You can choose different platforms for your personal website. If you are also into coding, if you're a developer and you're moving to UI UX, then I think that's a great skill to put in. You can always tell your recruiter as well that you have coded your website on your own. But otherwise, I think Wix or Squarespace or these kinds of pre-built template websites will also help you in creating your portfolio very quick. Moving forward, so some most common worries. And when I was talking about portfolio, I also thought I'll quickly discuss with some of my classmates, some college mates, and these are all some very common things that we often think. So I decided to bring three important questions that might help you today in deciding, or you might have already experienced these questions. Okay, so the first question that comes here: how can I build my portfolio with no experience in UX design? So I read this somewhere that we don't know why is the portfolio, having no experience becomes so important. But otherwise, in any general profession, there's always the first day or the first step that you have to take. So don't worry about not having an experience in UX design. Now, there could be two possibilities. Either you're not well versed with UX design itself, or you have a knowledge of UX design, but you don't have enough of projects or real life experiences. In that case, if you don't have an experience of UX design basics, I would suggest either you can enroll yourself into a boot camp or do some online courses to understand what are the basic artifacts of UX design, or get into a mentorship program. You can also look for mentors online, like for platforms like design.org or ADP List, Amazing Design People. I think these are some very amazing websites where people will help you, and they are willing to volunteer as a mentor, and they will help you build your case studies. And then the second thing, if you don't have enough of experience, you can start working on your own projects. You can volunteer with some organization, and you can try to understand what could be their interest, and that will be a good way to do a live project, something like a self initiated project. Or otherwise, you can think of a problem statement, analyze and observe there are so many problems around you, and create something that is in your purview. All right, let's move ahead. So, how do I deal with non disclosure agreements when building a UX portfolio? Confidentiality also becomes a big blocker when you want to create your own portfolio, and you do have projects, but they were all commission projects. Now, you had clients involved in your projects and portfolios. So instead of worrying about what to put, first of all, think if you really want to put that client project here, does that show enough of your creative efforts? If it does, then you can either show process images. Don't use the final outcome. You can use the entire process to explain the recruiter how you moved from, you did interviews or there were some insights, then you did an affinity mapping, entire process. So you can map out your process instead of the final outcome. This will help you save yourself from any kind of confidentiality issues. The other way to do it is blur out some information, or create a generic template out of it. For example, you created a platform for a banking website. Now you can remove the logos, you can remove the all the confidential information, or you can make it very general, make it convert it to a generic banking product. Let's go ahead. I'm still working on my portfolio. What should I do? This is, I think, one of the very interesting things that even I have been through. And I would say I really believe in, Parkinson's law of UX. When we talk about portfolio, a portfolio in itself is an entire experience journey. It itself is an entire project. So I think there's never enough of time to complete your portfolio. Parkinson laws, I don't know if anybody has heard of it, but it says um, the work fills the time that you have been given. So if I gave you, say, 2 months of time to complete your portfolio, you will come up with some kind of a deliverable or a portfolio draft. If I give you 6 months of time to complete your portfolio, I think you will still be the same. So you need to decide what is a good timeline for your project or your portfolio. Make very clear milestones to achieve, and then you need to also work on the planning of the entire portfolio. Create clear outlines that supposedly in 2 months I'm planning to create one project, and then in the next 2 months I plan to deliver another project, and in this way in 6 months or in 3 months I will create 3 projects and a portfolio website for myself. So planning is a very important part of portfolio process. Moving ahead, other things to consider. When I talk to a lot of different people from different domains, especially from technical domains and from people who are into managing or recruitment roles, I often get to hear that the major things that designers lack are the soft skills and time management are two very important things that a designer must have, because when you're working in a team you have some set expectations and you have some delivery milestones to achieve. Now, when you don't achieve your milestones and you don't pass it on at the correct time to the developers or to the development team, it in general causes a chaos and a delay in the entire uh, project roadmap, I would say. So, some things that can be highlighted from your portfolio in general will be very important and will be an add on to your technical skills. Apart from design, if you're good at communication or teamwork, some things like these will definitely help you add on or elevate your portfolio experience. Coming to confidence and self reflection, these become very important, especially in the interview process. Now, imagine you have a portfolio and a case study that is very well done. It's very detailed. Either you can be there present with the interviewer to explain or not. So, confidence and communication becomes very important here. Now, if you were not there, the your visual design or your portfolio, either on the blog or Behance or anyway, the recruiter should be able to understand without your presence. The other way around, if you're there and you're asked to present your portfolio or you're asked to present one of your best case studies, you should be well prepared with the entire outline and all the details that are important for that part of the portfolio section. Self reflection is also very important to take criticism or ideas in the interview process as well. I think yeah, that's all from our end today. You can reach out to
Thank
me.
you so much.
Yep. You can reach out to me on my
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
yeah, ma'am. Please continue.
Yeah. Any questions here?
Yes, ma'am. So we have a few questions that are already sent to us by the participants via, many. We have had some polls, and in the form as well, we've had questions from students. So I think, yeah, we can take questions, right? We have time.
Yes, we do have.
Okay. So, first question that we have is we've had this from quite a few students that there are many beginners in UX, and they are asking like if you are beginning, what are the basic steps that we should be following? People don't have good projects, so what kind of projects they should choose and some like that. So, what path they should follow?
So I have been also involved into mentoring programs where people are moving from different domains into design. So one key thing that you always should remember for building your portfolio or a case study, do something that really interests you and take up a domain that you are aware of and you have knowledge of. Now, if I don't have a knowledge of banking and finance much, and I try to create a case study in finance, that will be a big problem for me because I will not be able to explain the entire process clearly. So, for beginners, take up something that really interests you and you have a knowledge of that domain. And then the other thing that is important is for UX design, the design process is very important. So you should be aware of the process, and your case study or your project should be able to show that to any recruiter. So these would be two of my main things on how to do it.
Okay, great. And the next question is how to showcase the research work that they've done in their portfolios, and I mean, how should they set it up so that it comes out highlighted and so that's the best.
I think infographics are the best way to do it. And here now you also have to make sure that it's not a research project. It's an entire UX UI combined case study. So make sure that you're only highlighting your insights. You need not, put all the questions that you have asked to your, in your interview. You don't have to, add the entire survey. But the recruiter might be interested in knowing that how many people did you actually survey. That might be the key number. And he might be interested in knowing that what was the pattern that you found in that. So add your insights and all the important information or that wow element that you found in your research. Over to you, Tavleen.
Okay, yeah. So we have a question in the comment section. Abhishek asks how to get my portfolio reviewed. He says that he's been giving many interviews and but he's not getting a job, so he wants some guidance in that matter, that how he can get his portfolio reviewed.
I think Abhishek, right?
Yeah, Abhishek.
So first of all, don't worry. And I would say, it's very important for you to align with the team that you're going to work with. So if you haven't been able to find a good job, that's totally okay. Maybe you will find something that really suits you better. Other thing that I would say, you can, either you can get on a call with me. My LinkedIn ID is up on designer page. You can get on a call with me, I can review it for you. Or there are very as I mentioned, there are different platforms for mentoring, and there are a lot of design communities that have recently come up, who are who would be happy to have experts review your profiles or your portfolios.
Okay. I hope Abhishek has got the answer. We have another question here that says how to properly choose the best color schemes according to our target audience, or should we stick to random colors?
I think definitely color psychology and color harmony plays a big role in building your case study. Depending on the product, you might want to change your color scheme and your case study layouts. So that is a definite it's very important. I wouldn't say choose random colors, but either you can do a combination with your UI design. Say supposingly if my UI is very colorful, so I might want to keep my case study a little subtle and have a little of background and white spacing. Now, if your UI is very, generic or dull, you might want to create a effective layout for that. But in general, for a portfolio, if you're doing a website, I would suggest, do what you like and what shows your personality. You might, want to make it something quirky, or you might want to take a dark theme background. So I think everything works
Yeah.
unless and until it actually, it's aesthetic, it's pleasing, and it goes with the design design practices.
Yes, absolutely. Amrita asks, can portfolio be dynamic based on company you are applying for? And how to manage that? You cannot change it completely and make new ones for every company. So how do we manage?
Sorry, Tavleen, I think I lost your voice.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Not clear.
Okay, now is it better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So Amrita asks, can portfolio be dynamic based on company you are applying for? And how do we manage?
So if you're looking for similar job roles, I think you can have a static portfolio that majorly talks about it, or otherwise you can add some additional skills that might help you. So if you're looking for a UI UX job, which includes UI designer or a UX designer, if you're open for both the job roles, I think you can have a mix of both in your portfolio, so that it goes for both of them. I think creating different portfolios might be very frustrating and time consuming. So avoid doing that for your recruitment process.
Okay. So next question is, what are some do's and don'ts that you would recommend, while making your portfolio?
Uh, One of my key learnings from my recruitment process is don't put too much into your portfolio. As I said, quality over quantity. Now imagine you go to a recruitment process and they open up your portfolio, which is lovely with 20 case studies. That's amazing. It looks like you worked a lot. Now, out of those 20, they pick the 17th one and then they ask you to explain it. Did you actually create all the portfolios with equal importance? Is there equal, content in all of them? Might not be. So then it's very important to just have what is really crucial for you, what might get you the job. First is this. The second is focus on the process. The UX design portfolio is more about a storytelling and how you came up with problems, identified problems, and how you solved it. Focus on the problem, the solution, and the entire process. And the third one would be make a balance of visual design and content. So, in my opinion, visuals, your good visuals will decide if your recruiter will be interested in going through the entire case study or not. That's a human tendency, and I think that happens for everyone. If you were given a long document of, say 10 pages, textual, will you be interested? No, right? If there was a document with one page that will have all the important details that you just need to know, so that will really take interest of the recruiter. So these are three of my key main things to consider while doing your portfolio.
Okay. So there's another question saying, what is the difference between portfolio or CV or resume? And how is it a milestone for company placement?
I think this is a very interesting question. A CV or resume is, it goes for all the jobs, all the job profiles, all different fields, everything. A CV is a basic understanding of, all the facts about you. What was your, academic background? How many internships did you do? What did you do at your internship? Do you have a job? How many jobs have you moved to? What all were your designations and all the factual details about you. But a portfolio actually shows, what are your skills, and you really show what have you implemented in all those academic backgrounds and your jobs. So this is where you show your work, and I would say CV is just information about you.
Okay. And now, another question that we've got from a few. This was a similar question that we found in two or three polls. What are some terminologies or resources and tools that industry people use?
If you're talking about the US jargons, I think there are a lot of different, jargons and different terminologies. But what you should be aware of is, I would say, some UX artifacts and how you actually do it. For example, if you're trying to show a process, you should know that this process is actually called design thinking process. Just saying that it's a problem solving process might be very generic. Then, under the process, if you have some milestones, say you did interviews, you did some questionnaires, you might be, interested, or you might want to show the recruiter that you know some kind of understanding of what were these questionnaires about. There were open ended questions, there were close ended questions, and some important jargons around it. I hope I have answered that question.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so a few people have been asking that if they could have a look at your portfolio for some inspiration. Is it possible, ma'am?
Uh, Not right away, but I think it's up on LinkedIn. If you would like to, check it out, do go and have a look at my website. My website is more about, not a, I would say, a recruitment kind of a portfolio, but it's more about, showing across what different hobbies I have and what all hands-on I have with. I also believe if you're creating a website that gives you a space to, add more of just your professional things. So this might also sometimes interest the recruiter that, oh, you're into a lot of different things and you have a different vision, or you are also into creative fields.
Okay. So with that, we come to an end with questions. Okay, there's one more question from Harshita. How does recruiter evaluate a portfolio? Like on what factors and any key points? We'll be taking this as the last question, ma'am.
I think, Harshita, I wouldn't have a very, very precise answer to your question. But as I said, you know just think about it as any user. A recruiter is just any other user or any other general person for you. Now imagine if somebody else was showing you the portfolio. What would be the thing that would make you actually read his portfolio or have a look at his portfolio? Think about it in that way. I don't think there would be any set of concrete key pointers here.
Okay, so with that, now we come to an end with the Q&A session. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. And to all the participants, we'll be mentioning ma'am's LinkedIn down so that you can go and reach out to her with any questions or queries that you have. And also, you can have a look at her profile, portfolio, and the website as well. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking our time and joining us. We really
Thanks
appreciate
a
you
lot. Thank
here,
you
and we
for having me here. It's a pleasure to interact with so many people, and I would be very happy to connect later. And if there are any questions, anybody wants to get their portfolio review, I would be very happy to help. Thank you everyone for joining us on a late evening weekend and sparing this time for us. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. And participants, the feedback form is shared. The link is shared in the chat section. You all can please go and give us the feedback because the feedback is really important so that we may improve as well. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Have a good day.